Okay, let's see what we've got here. Let's see, too old, not ready yet, definitely not ready yet, maybe someday. Reviewed this already, though maybe I'll review it again someday. So many reviews, so little time, and with the threat of Count CGI hovering over my head, it's hard to have a good review without being paranoid. Well, whatever I review has to be good, but not a huge blockbuster. Let's see. What day is it? Easter? Easter. Yeah, that's it!
Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail.
Oh yeah, this was just fine.
Here comes Hewy, gonna give you the news. Time to watch his animated movie reviews, where the hand-drawn CGI puppets will play. If you've got a good story, you'll be making his day. See you at the movies, cartoon movies. See you at the movies, hold on to. See you at the movies, like nobody's business. Hey, see you at the movies, animated movies that is.
Hey everyone, I'm Hewy Toonmore. Welcome to Hewy's Anime Movie Reviews, the show where I review anime films from old to recent, whether they be hand-drawn, stop-motion, or computer-generated. What can you say about Easter? Whether people celebrate it for the resurrection of Jesus or the treats given by the Easter Bunny, it's a holiday that doesn't have as much appreciation when compared to other holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Halloween. And the same can be said about the TV/movie specials. Now, when I say specials, I'm specifically talking about the ones made by Rankin-Bass. Whenever anyone thinks about the holiday specials Rankin-Bass has made, most likely they would think of the Christmas-themed ones like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Frosty the Snowman, and so on. But Rankin-Bass did more than just Christmas specials. They also did ones for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and of course, Easter. And the special I'll be reviewing today is the first Easter-themed special Rankin-Bass ever made. So, with that said, let's get started, shall we? First airing on television on April 4th, 1971, the special is Here Comes Peter Cottontail. So the special begins with the introduction of our narrator, a peddler by the name of... You know what, I'll just let him introduce himself.
I am Seymour S. Sassafras and Company. I am a peddler by trade and by golly, by golly, by golly. I deal in magic and moonbeams and pretty, pretty colors. Oh, yes.
I absolutely love this guy. Seriously, out of all the narrators in a Rankin-Bass holiday special, he is by far my absolute favorite. He has the magical abilities of Mary Poppins and the whimsical charm of Willy Wonka. He's just so happily charismatic. This is largely due to the fact that he's voiced by comedic actor, dancer, and singer Danny Kaye.
Great chattering chicks. They've never heard of Peter Cottontail. They've never heard of Peter Cottontail?
So while Yukon Cornelius may be my #1 favorite character from a Rankin-Bass Christmas special, Seymour Sassafras is my absolute favorite character out of any holiday special they've ever produced. But I'm getting sidetracked here, let's continue with the review. So the story begins in April Valley, where the current Chief Easter Bunny, Colonel Wellington Bunny, also voiced by Danny Kaye, is nearing retirement and contemplates who to give the position as Chief Easter Bunny to when he retires. Out of all the possible candidates, he chooses Peter Cottontail. However, Colonel Bunny is reminded that Peter has a known reputation for being a troublemaker, but he dismisses it as he sees potential in young Peter.
I never dreamed I'd get to be Chief Easter Bunny.
Oh yeah, there's a plot thread where every time Peter tells a fib, his left ear droops, similar to the way Pinocchio's nose grows long whenever he tells a lie. By the way, Peter Cottontail is voiced by former radio DJ and the original voice of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, Casey Kasem, who sadly passed away last year. Anyway, we're then introduced to the first song number, aside from the title song, where Colonel Bunny sings about the importance of leadership and responsibility.
There are tulips that need tending and baskets that need mending. The jelly beans are piling up in heaps. There are eggs that need collecting and hens who are expecting in spring the Easter Bunny never sleeps.
You know, this song kind of makes me think of the first toy maker to the king from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. They both have similar melodies and have the same messages. After the song, we're then introduced to the villain of the story, January Q. Irontail. Now tell me if his voice actor sounds familiar in any way.
I won't allow Cottontail to be the new Chief Easter Bunny. I must be the new ruler of April Valley.
Yep. None other than famous horror actor Vincent Price, which would make Professor Ratigan in The Great Mouse Detective the second evil rodent he's ever voiced. He is such a badass when it comes to playing villains. He explains to an advisor that he wants to become ruler of April Valley because, well, listen for yourself.
Years ago, a small child roller skated over my tail. Since then, I have had to wear this artificial one made of iron instead of having a nice, fluffy, white cottontail like that Peter.
But it was an accident, sir. The child didn't mean to.
I don't care!
By the way, is it just me, or does Irontail look very peculiar in some way? Oh my god! I mean, just look at him! He wears the similar type of clothing that Hitler would wear and has the same hairstyle. The only thing that's missing is the mustache.
Since that time, I have detested all children.
But then, why be Easter Bunny?
To get even.
So basically, Irontail wants to be the new ruler of April Valley in order to get revenge on the children for the loss of his original tail. Not a bad motivation for a villain, really. So Irontail flies down on his pet bat Montresor to the Chief Easter Bunny's residence just before Colonel Bunny names Peter the new Chief Easter Bunny and proposes to have a contest to see who can deliver the most eggs. Peter agrees to the contest despite Colonel Bunny's objection.
You've got to win, Peter. Irontail will do terrible things to April Valley. Make sure you get up bright and early tomorrow so you can do your best.
But of course, Peter's so confident that he'll win that he throws a big party with all his friends and doesn't go to bed until about 12:10 at night. Ha! You call that late? I don't usually go to bed till about 2 or 3 in the morning, and it hasn't affected me whatsoever. Where am I? While Peter is asleep, however, Irontail sneaks into his house and tricks his alarm clock Rooster by giving it bubblegum that causes its beak to be sealed shut to prevent Peter from waking up. Throughout Easter Day, however, Irontail has trouble delivering eggs because no one likes him, but does, however, manage to just deliver 1 egg. And because Peter slept through all of Easter, Irontail is declared the new Chief Easter Bunny. And how does he celebrate this? Why, with a villainous reprise of the first song, of course.
Every tulip that needs tending will get a proper bending, and jelly beans will rot upon their heaps.
You know, I can't sit through this song without making this joke.
Der die Millionen, die uns heute verfluchen, hinter uns stehen und mit uns begrüßen werden dann das gemeinsam Geschaffene, wiedererkämpfte, wiedererworbene.
So Peter, feeling guilty about letting everybody down, runs away from home out of shame, swearing that he'll make up for his mistake if it's the last thing he did. Peter, of course, passes out on a log and wakes up the next morning to find he's been sleeping on Seymour Sassafras's foot. Okay, wait a minute. If I remember correctly, Peter passed out on a log, so how's he all of a sudden right next to Seymour?
Magic.
Okay, I'll buy it. So after shaking off the sleep in his eyes, Peter finds that he's in Seymour's Garden of Surprises, where he grows all the vegetables he uses for his colors. And this is where Seymour really starts to show off his whimsical charm.
Why do you call it the Garden of Surprises?
Everybody asks that question. I never know what's coming up. Sometimes I plant beans and roses surprise me. Well, it's always easier to change colors than to change labels.
After Peter tells Seymour the bad news of letting everybody in April Valley down, Seymour has a solution by showing Peter his Yes Tomorrow-bile, which happens to be a time machine. It's here we're introduced to the pilot of the contraption, a worm with a French accent named Antoine, who is also voiced by Danny Kaye.
Pardon, monsieur? I hold the rank of caterpillar?
Normally I'd poke jokes at this kind of character, but you know what? The French have had enough crap given to them that I'm not even gonna bother. Besides, he's my third favorite character in this special. Second being Irontail. So Antoine tells Peter about how the machine works, and after all that techno-babbling, they set off into the past to fix everything. And this is where we get the next song, If I Could Only Get Back to Yesterday.
If I could only get back to yesterday, today would be a perfect day. If I could only get back to yesterday, oh, the different things I'd do and say.
I love this song. It's catchy, it's upbeat, and something that gives a sense of hope for the main character. It also happens to be my second favorite song in the special. Also, this song feels very reminiscent to Tomorrow is Another Day from The Rescuers, but much, much better. So while Peter is traveling back to Easter Day on the Tomorrowmobile, Irontail spots them with his magical egg, which somehow has fourth dimensional properties, and sends a spider and a small rocket to sabotage the vehicle. Now, I'd usually say how stupid or bizarre that sounds, but since this is Vincent Price we're talking about, I think I'll let it pass for his sake. Because of how badly damaged the machine is, Peter and Antoine are forced to land on Mother's Day instead of Easter, and I think the way the animators made the whole machine ripping through the calendar bit every time it stops in a different time period is pretty creative and funny at the same time.
Happy Easter.
Easter? It's Mother's Day.
You forgot us on Easter.
I'll say you did. Oh, I don't mind for myself, but there were no eggs for the children.
Well, I'll make it all up now. Here, my pleasure.
Ah, who wants Easter eggs on Mother's Day?
I can't believe that boy! I mean, if someone offered me free eggs out of sheer generosity, even if it wasn't the season for them, I wouldn't have been a dick about it. Maybe I would have said no in a kindly regard, but not in the way that kid was. I mean, didn't his mother ever teach him manners?
Ah, who wants Easter eggs on Mother's Day?
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
After failing to find anyone to give eggs to on Mother's Day, Peter and Antoine keep pressing on to get back to Easter Day, with Antoine doing his best to try and fix the controls. But just when Antoine finishes fixing the machine, the pair pass through the 4th of July and are hit with a barrage of fireworks.
We are falling! This is an outrageous situation!
Peter and Antoine manage to land safely on Independence Day. It is here where Antoine comes up with an idea to help Peter out on his quest.
Tell me, Pierre, in the rules of Apple Valley, does it say the eggs must be given at Easter?
No, but who wants Easter eggs on the 4th of July?
Easter eggs, no. But 4th of July eggs?
Ooh, I feel a song coming on.
People believe what they ask in their eyes. So when you can't get it all together, improvise. When you can't get it all together, improvise.
As for the song itself, I like the message of how even though you may think something may not work because it's a different holiday or event, you can always make it work through other means. After the song ends, Peter finds some painting supplies in the time machine and paints the Easter eggs in 4th of July style. 'Cause this here's America! He also finds an Uncle Sam costume and starts to spread his Easter cheer Independence Day style. He comes across 2 boys who are disappointed that the fireworks have finished for the night, and this is where Peter's old habit of fibbing starts to get the better of him.
Well, hello, fellows. I'm Uncle Sam, your Independence Day bunny.
We're looking for firecrackers. You got firecrackers, Rabbit?
Firecrackers. Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Egg-shaped torpedoes. You know, you toss them on the ground and kabloom!
Yeah, gimme! Let me at him! Come on, let's take him to where the ground is hard.
However, Peter's fib soon surfaces, and the boys quickly find Peter just before he's about to take off.
These are not firecrackers.
Well, fellas, it was just a little joke.
We don't like jokes. Let him have it, Homer.
After getting the eggs back, Peter and Antoine continue their journey, and Peter learns a lesson from Antoine.
Serves you right for saying that they were fireworks.
But gee, I was only trying to win so I could save April Valley.
Pierre, nothing, absolutely nothing justifies a fib.
Their conversation is interrupted, however, due to more problems with the time machine, and are forced once again to land on yet another holiday. Which one, you might ask?
This is Halloween, pumpkins scream in the dead of night.
Fortunately for Irontail, Halloween happens to be his favorite kind of holiday, which gives him the perfect opportunity to try and stop Peter. But rather than get his own hands dirty, he instead calls on the witch, Madame Esmeralda, voiced by Joan Gardner, who also voiced Tanta Kringle in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and the mother from the Mother's Day segment.
Well, I wonder if you could find time to do me a little favor. I mean, there's a certain rabbit I want to frighten away.
Haunt a rabbit. Great! You know me! I just love to tease hares!
A lot of enthusiasm just to scare a rabbit. Must be a slow Halloween for her. Shortly after, Esmeralda finds Peter, but her scaring tactics don't seem to work as well as she'd hoped.
Come on, what's the joke? Let me in on it. What's so funny?
There's no joke. I'm a wicked Halloween witch. I do simply horrendous things. I can turn blue and purple and green.
That's no big deal. People in LSD do that all the time. Just when Esmeralda sadly gives up trying to scare Peter, he takes the opportunity to give her his first Halloween Easter egg, which brings back Esmeralda's wicked joy.
Nobody ever thinks to treat the tricksters.
So Esmeralda decides to tell every one of her ghoul friends about Peter's Halloween eggs, and they all come flying in on their broomsticks in hopes of getting one. However, Irontail, upset at Esmeralda's betrayal, orders his bat Montresor to fly out and snatch Peter's eggs from him in order to destroy them.
Those eggs are done for! Oh, I love it when I'm nasty.
In a desperate attempt to save the eggs, Peter gives chase in his machine. After the chase, we get two good news, bad news scenarios. The good news is that Peter has all his eggs back intact. The bad news is that they can't go back to Halloween. But the other good news is that the next holiday to land in is Thanksgiving. Bad news is that everyone is so stuffed from their Thanksgiving feasts that Peter isn't able to give away a single egg. And if you know Rankin-Bass as much as I do, you probably already know what holiday they land in next.
Christmas! Christmas, 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 Christmas!
That's right, Christmas. It wouldn't be a Rankin-Bass holiday special if they didn't find some way of including the only holiday that matters to them. Peter happens to run across recycled models of Santa and his reindeer and sleigh from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. However, Santa in this special is not voiced by Mickey Rooney. Instead, he's voiced by none other than regular Rankin-Bass voice actor Paul Frees.
Hi, Santa, hi!
Hello, Peter!
Watch out for Irontail, Santa!
Oh, I'm not afraid. Merry Christmas, Peter! Merry Christmas!
So after landing on Christmas Eve, Peter decides to become the Salvation Bunny, but instead of asking for donations, he tries to give out Christmas-themed eggs. However, since it's the night of Christmas Eve, everyone's done with their Christmas shopping and resting in bed at home, leaving Peter disappointed. Just then, he hears a cry coming from a nearby hat shop. There he discovers Bonnie, a living Easter Bunny from April Valley, who's also voiced by Joan Gardner. She explains to Peter that no one wants to purchase her for the holidays, leaving her in a state of emotional pain. Can't say I blame her. Peter then gets the idea and goes to the shop owner, also voiced by Joan Gardner, and negotiates a trade, all of his Christmas eggs for Bonnie.
Why, they're beautiful!
Deal?
Deal.
Deal! Deal?
But unfortunately, due to Peter carelessly leaving the eggs out on the sidewalk, Irontail shows up with Montresor and once again steals the eggs from him.
I shall hide these eggs where you will never find them again.
You know, only Vincent Price can make lines like that, and "those eggs are done for" actually sounds scary. Peter begins to give chase with Bonnie, but unfortunately accidentally forgets Antoine, leaving him behind on Christmas. And judging from Irontail's confidence, it looks like he might actually succeed. Until...
What are you doing with those eggs? Well, you know they belong to Peter Cottontail.
Oh, why don't you stick to your own holiday?
I'd say the same about you, but you've made Easter horrendous. After getting the eggs back, Peter starts to dress up as the New Year's Bunny, but because he left Antoine back at Christmas and doesn't know how to work the controls, he passes right over New Year's. He's about to give up when Bunny suggests to Peter about pushing a button he hasn't tried.
It says stop.
Huh? As a matter of fact, I was just about to try that button out.
Sure you were.
Peter lands the Yes-Tomorrow-mobile on Valentine's Day, where he sees a Valentine's skating party going on and...
Don't tell me, let me guess.
After decorating the eggs in a lovely fashion, he comes across a female bunny named Donna.
Oh, I recognize you from your picture in the paper. You're Peter Cottontail.
Oh, no, my name's Harold. Harold Hassenpfeffer.
Well, you shouldn't be ashamed. Anybody can make one mistake. You just overslept.
Gee, that's a kind thing to say.
I mean it.
And this is where we get the romantic song of the special, Be Mine Today, and I absolutely love it.
I've got a paper heart that's got your name up on it. I've written a sonnet and set it to music. My heart's the drummer, come and listen to it playing. It seems to be saying, be mine today.
You know, I kind of wish I could have put this song in my top 10 romantic songs in an animated film list. I guess it can make for a good runner-up. To describe the song, it's almost the kind of song that you could use for one of those audio Valentine's Day cards and would hold up very well even in today's music medium. While Peter and Donna are enjoying their romantic outing, Irontail finds the basket of eggs Peter left alone. Again.
I mean, jeez, you'd think Peter would have learned this lesson about having the egg basket right where he can see it after having been stolen twice. It's like if a person who was in a car wreck twice before got into another one because they weren't paying attention. Maybe Irontail would be a better ruler of April Valley. I mean, I wouldn't mind eating a chocolate tarantula or octopus.
But instead of stealing the eggs, Irontail instead uses a magic spell to turn all the eggs green so no one would want them.
Why not use a spell to just destroy them instead, or better yet, why not just smash them there on the spot? Bam! Problem solved!
So because all the eggs are green, Donna gives Peter back the egg he gave her. Well, aren't you inconsiderate? I mean, it's still Valentine's Day, isn't it?
And just a couple of minutes ago they were singing about love, so where did this come from? Let's just move on.
Also, couldn't Peter just paint over the eggs? I mean, he still has his painting gear with him. But then again, Sassafras does state that the shells, yolks, and even the whites of the eggs are all green. So even if Peter painted over them, people would think they were rotten or something if they tried to eat them.
Alright, so maybe it isn't such a stupid plan.
Peter and Bonnie move on to the next holiday, being George Washington's birthday, and don't have any luck with anyone on that day, mostly due to Peter's fibbing habit. Because of this, Peter falls into a slump about his failures and starts to blame himself.
It's all my fault. If I didn't go to that party in the first place, I wouldn't have overslept. And if I didn't tell so many fibs, lots of people would have taken my eggs. But now it's hopeless. Who wants green eggs?
Well, Peter, there is this one guy I know called Sam I Am who could really use some to go with his ham.
Just when Peter gives up all hope, we then get another song segment, this time from Seymour about the importance of never giving up no matter how thin the situation is, called The Puzzle of Life.
In the puzzle of life, there is one piece that keeps it together.
This song, in my opinion, is just okay. Not good, just okay. It's nothing special and doesn't stick out as one of the best when compared to the rest in this special. But there is one part that I do have to mention, and that's these eggs right here.
Of the tricks that life plays, be reminded.
While I wouldn't necessarily call these things scary per se, they're still creepy to look at, especially when Peter climbs into the mouth of one of them. So while still stranded in the air, Peter makes a solemn vow that if he can give away his eggs in a genuine manner, he'll reform himself of all his past mistakes. Though there's still the question of who'll want his green eggs.
If you can't guess what the next holiday is, here's a riddle. What do luck, shamrocks, leprechauns, booze, and green have to do with one another? If you haven't figured it out...
Glory be in Bigorra, 'tis St. Patrick's Day! Sure and 'tis me hisself, the Blarney Bunny. Get your Paddy's Day shamrock eggs right here. Free for the asking they are, and as green as the Emerald Isle all the way through. And that, for once, is no fib.
Well, I'm glad Peter was able to give away his eggs, and on such an awesome holiday as well. But here's where I start to question the plot of this special.
First off, Peter was supposed to go back in time to fix everything, so how has going forward in time solved anything? Second, since he's gone forward in time, Irontail is still technically the Chief Easter Bunny, so Colonel Bunny has no say in who can be Chief Easter Bunny. I mean, if Peter told Colonel Bunny that he could prove himself again by being able to spread some of that Easterness in other holidays, that actually could have sufficed. But with that said, Colonel Bunny is impressed with Peter's ingenuity and happily grants him the rank of official Chief Easter Bunny as we move on to the final song of the special.
Which also just happens to be the title song, Here Comes Peter Cottontail.
Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail. Hippity-hopping Easter's on its way.
But wait, you ask, whatever happened to Antoine? More importantly, whatever happened to Irontail?
Well, we find out that Antoine has turned into a butterfly since he was left behind on Christmas and has spent the last few months in hibernation, and that Irontail has been demoted to April Valley janitor.
And so that was Here Comes Peter Cottontail. And despite some of the flaws it has, including the plot holes concerning time travel, it still remains a childhood favorite of mine.
The stop motion is top notch as you would expect from Rankin-Bass. The voice acting is phenomenal, especially when it comes to both Dan Kaye and Vincent Price, and I really like how the special shows just how overshadowed Easter is when compared to the other holidays. Of course, Rankin-Bass would make 2 more Easter specials years later with the first Easter Rabbit and the Easter Bunnies Coming to Town. But those are more like recycled tellings of other Rankin-Bass specials in the Easter style and don't hold up as well as this one. Because let's face it, Here Comes Peter Cottontail is a bona fide Easter classic. If you ever get the chance to check it out, do so. It's a special that anyone who's a fan of Rankin-Bass material should see at least once. I give it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again for my next review. See the movies. Anime movies, that is. Oh, and Happy Easter.